Take one, Fearsome engine in the TP field.
In the TP field.
And I'd like to say that in 1994, behind us here, there was a party for 2,000 people, a Dragonfly party, and I was lucky enough to be there, I think. Were you there, Jezzy?
I wasn't. I heard about it, but I didn't make it.
And it was one of those legendary events. Eat Static, Tsuyoshi, I can't actually remember who else, because I was, inebriated. But it was a seminal moment in PsyTrance, Goa trance kind of history. And now my studio overlooks this dance floor, so it's a mega and beautiful place to be. So we thought we'd come here and have a little chat about Fearsome Engine, Nano Records, and where we're at right now.
Hey guys, Regan here, Nano Records. We've got Fearsome Engine.
Tristan.
And Jazz.
Laughing Buddha. And together they're Fearsome Engine, one of our very exciting, one of my favorite acts on Nano as well. I think let's have a quick chat about how Fearsome Engine came about, and about the new EP, the current direction with the tunes, and see where we get to with that.
Well, the new EP is called The Meaning of Life, and it came out yesterday, right?
Yes, yesterday.
That's right.
5th of June, 2018.
Yep.
Yep.
And there's 2 tracks on it, one called Meaning of Life and the other one called Into the Abyss. And they're basically crunchy, Fearsome Engine style, uplifting psychedelia. And, we're constantly battling with our journey into new territory. And we were just saying earlier that it can take us, a little bit longer to write these tracks because we allow ourselves to experiment. And, we're generally happy with the results, but it does mean releases are fewer, but very, very special to us.
That's right.
And in terms of when writing this EP, were there any new processes that you came up with, or that you, like anything specific that you were trying to get to that you hadn't done before as a partnership?
Well, I think every time we get in the studio together as Fearsome Engine, we try to nail something new.
Yeah.
We try to take it somewhere we haven't been before, every time.
So what happened this time with these projects, particularly on The Meaning of Life, we got this amazingly fat bottom end on the kick and bass. And when we wanted to come back to the project to see how we'd done it, somehow I'd managed to delete the project. So that is a one-off, moment in time, and it is what it was, and that's it. So I can't really tell you too much about that, because it's such a process that we go through that after 2 weeks of working on it, and you've bounced, you've got all these processes happening, and then you bounce it down to a new audio channel, and you chop that up, put new stuff on it, bounce that down to another one, and so you get this constantly evolving sound that starts from a vocal or a sample or whatever, and it ends up as an alien landscape or a funky, ripping FM lead or something, and we've no idea how we got there. It was just having fun with the process, and as I said, it's a real journey of experimentation.
We allow ourselves to indulge ourselves in this project.
Yeah, it's very indulgent and psychedelic.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love working with Jez because, he's very methodical. Sometimes, watching him with the mouse, I'm dying to get hold of the mouse, do this, do that. And I just say, look, you know what, dude, you're going to get there. He's the master of doing what he does. So I'll just go and make a cup of tea. I come back, see how you're doing, and then I can get involved. So it's quite important when you're working with someone as well to give them the latitude to indulge themselves, because sometimes it's quite hard early on in a process to visualize what someone has in their mind, and you have to just go with it. You might think, that doesn't sound very good, but give it an hour of polish, tweak, whatever, it can sound amazing.
It's all in the process.
Yeah.
It's the result that counts in the end.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you met, the two of you met? Do either of you remember that, when that was?
No.
No! We were aware of each other, I think, for many years, like from parties and just being around.
And I knew who Cosmosis were, you and Billy.
Yeah.
And was very aware of them, and they were, what labels were you
releasing? I was aware of hearing some of your epic morning sets in some beautiful outdoor locations around
So we'd been in orbit of each other for years. I can't actually remember where it was, because after so many years of friendship, and we spent a lot of time together, we were in London, we were living very close to each other.
Yeah.
That's where we wrote the first Fearsome Engine.
Levels of Truth, I think that was the first.
That's right.
wasn't
And the
it?
first album,
Yeah.
has there only been one album?
There's
one
one album, yeah.
One album. Well, that's
Yeah.
where we wrote the album,
Yeah.
in London. And then he moved down here first, and then I followed him a few years later. And so now we're in close proximity, and your good self.
Yeah.
So, you know, the Wiltshire, Somerset, Frome vibes. With so many of us down here, it's awesome. You know, there's you, Jezzy, me, Lucas, Merv, Eat Static, who else?
Pogo,
Jamie, Pogo,
Tag and Groove
Tag
guys,
and Groove.
Rick and Jake,
Angus,
Mandala.
Mandala. Yeah,
It's
and
Most of the
Dickster's
posse.
on his way.
Dickster's on his
moving
way.
down with his family soon
Wessex
as well.
posse.
Wessex Trance Commune.
Yeah.
Hey.
So yeah, we're very lucky to have this amazing community that's growing and growing around us right now. A huge creative hub of psychedelia, really.
Because when you're writing it, yeah, you need
to.
to be going into other people's studios, checking mixes, having people listen to your stuff, give you their feedback and their professional opinion on many different points of view and many different sound systems and studio monitors that you can hear your music through is going to give you, is broaden your picture and your horizon on the whole thing. So yeah, we are very, very lucky.
Absolutely, I was thinking that on the way up here, actually driving.
I love you guys.
Love you guys. But I was actually thinking that when I was driving up here, I live about 15 minutes away. Jez is about 5 minutes away here. We're close, just outside Tristan's studio and house. And it's amazing how we've got this beautiful setting all around us all the time, and then we get to come together within a few minutes and share ideas and share good times.
Because
It's
you can
really
have all
special.
of this, but
Yeah.
without a community, without that sense of community, you're isolated.
Totally,
You know?
yeah.
And we've got it all here.
Yeah, we really do.
Literally have it all.
We are building a community here.
Literally the luckiest people on the planet.
So lucky, yeah. Super happy.
Well, should we go and have a look in the studio and check out
Let's
what
do that.
you know, where we work and our kind of
Do
vibe?
that. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be
Great.
fun.
Great. We're in the studio, Tristan's studio here in the UK, the beautiful countryside with Fearsome Engine, otherwise known as Tristan and Laughing Buddha. I'm going to ask him a few questions. I'm going to get out of the shot because there's nowhere for me to sit.
Because that shirt is stealing the show.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, speaking about Fearsome Engine, when was the first time you decided to do a track together, or what was? Do you remember that at all? Too far back?
Too far back.
Too far back.
We made a track called Levels of Truth in your studio up in Queen's Park. But it was years ago. I don't remember the circumstances of it
I
very
remember
clearly.
using the Orville, the Eventide,
Yeah.
before you could time stretch and pitch manipulate stuff like we can do in Ableton, the program we use now. We had to do this huge, really expensive effects unit to get them this effect of
a lot more
kind of
output,
DMT spiral pitch bubble. And now we can just do it at the click and touch of a button. So the technology since we started has really kind of game changed.
What software will you use to do that now?
Ableton.
Just Ableton
Live, yeah.
all the way.
It's got its pitch
Yeah.
algorithms. And you know, you can see there's not a great deal of outboard here. Got a 70s synth, Octave Cat, a Nord Rack, which is the FM machine. There's a Virus Snow, which is just an all-round PsyTrance machine.
Workhorse.
And
Yeah.
generally the rest of it's in the box.
The-
Got
you
barefoot
know.
monitors, and yours stood in front of a 3.5K sound system there, which we crank up to get the kind of club sound, so you can really hear the bottom end happening in here now. So
That's the main element to the sound of the room, you know, the room and the speakers and everything in here. It's
I actually
just,
built this from the ground up. This is a freestanding studio box, not touching any other walls or anything, so acoustically built on a ratio of the height, width and length by my friend Grant Darshan, who's also on the label, right?
No, he's on Flying Rhino.
Flying Rhino.
But we work with them very closely.
He's
They're on the
now doing-
agency. They're on the booking agency.
Yeah, he's on the Nano bookings. And
Yes.
he's doing some of our mastering for us.
He's doing
and
some mastering.
What I do remember from the early days of Fearsome Engine, though, is that the one thing that's the same now as it was then is that every track on that first album, we tried to develop a new technique. We just, you know, we pushed things further with every track. Each track had to have at least one radical new technique that we hadn't used before, or you know,
that's very true.
Before.
Yeah, and that's what keeps it interesting and exciting. Going into new, uncharted, you know, parts of the galaxy. Well, it can feel like that with the track sometimes. You're trying to create a dimension, you're creating a space within which people can journey and have cosmic experiences. So, you know, we try and make our sound as vast and infinite and microscopic as we possibly can, and everything in between, and the contracting and expanding of the space, as well as the more linear parts of the music, is a very important part of what we do. So, you know,
there needs to be a lot to explore in there. You open the gateway and then you have to give them a world to explore.
Yeah, exactly.
On the other side of that portal.
Create sounds and spaces that people have never heard before, that makes them, the listener, feel like they're in another dimension or an alternative space or consciousness. That's the idea of what we're trying to do.
I think that's, for me, also what I've always liked about Fearsome Engine is that searching for new sounds, because there's so many artists and acts out there who are just really reusing the same sounds again and again.
Relying on
it's just the same
sounds that work.
And there's and whereas you guys will take a chance and take a risk and push it till you find something that works. You know? And
there can be some red herrings and some cul-de-sacs where you spend 2 days on something and it doesn't work and you damn it. But if you don't try and you don't push that, then you're not pushing hard enough. And if the computer doesn't crash on you at least once or twice a day, then it's obviously not working hard enough either. Now, Ableton is pretty solid for us, so that's good. But actually, the name Fearsome Engine comes from one of my favourite authors, Ian M. Banks, his science fiction series, where he has the most vast vision and imagination of any writer that I know. And it was his books, the Culture series, that inspired the name, because it's just the sheer vastness of on a time frame as well. He's talking millions of years in the future, and these gigantic sentient planets, and how he manages to bring these ideas to life and make you believe them and make you live them is the kind of thing that we would like to do with our music. Peace, folks, we're Fearsome Engine. Welcome to my studio. This is Jez, Laughing Buddha, my buddy. And we've just released our single on Nano Records. It's called The Meaning of Life. 2 tracks, one called Meaning of Life and one called Into the Abyss. Check it out. Hope you love it. And we'll see you on a dance floor soon, somewhere on the festival circuit.